What a historic Donald Trump rally at Madison Square Garden yesterday. That was really fantastic. I think a lot of people saw my encounter with Jack Posobiec. I want to talk about that. Mike Benz too. I really do, I had a friend of mine who used to say, you shouldn't regret things. I really do regret not going in there, but at the same time, I would have been up in the rafters, having crappy seats, not heard it as well as I did on the right side network, whatever. But point is, I made a decision. There was important stuff to be learned, outside that event, around it, everything going on around it. And really, you know what? This is why my friend Oliver, old friend of mine, he's right. I shouldn't regret it because I made the decision and it was an important decision and I learned important things. Not about Jack. People are going to say, oh, that's some kind of Twitter beef, some kind of, oh, Jason's trying to get clicks. It's not that, but the important thing that was learned, and this blows my mind. I don't know how I missed this, but our buddy, who incidentally I was just talking about recently, not surprising, he's kind of around all the time, but that idiot Ezra Frisch, who's, he knows Matt Taibbi, and he was at that Matt Taibbi event. I missed him. He was there yesterday. Look at this. I was standing right next to him. And this is right at the moment when I was saying, oh, all these idiots know each other and are working together. Crackhead Barney was there. This stupid person with the pajamas and the walker. So, that's ridiculous that Ezra Frisch was standing right there. That would have been another, like for the books street encounter with a classic moron if I had seen him. But, I was looking at my wrist. I was looking at it's not good that I missed him there. But the point is, there he is. So what's going on? And people say, oh, they're paid protesters or whatever it is. Okay. But the point is, who puts them there? Who organizes it? Why is it always these same people? How large of an organization is this, And why aren't they arrested? See, the cops seem to be in on it. Remember that, I think he was a lieutenant with the stripes on his shoulder, but he was giving me weird answers. If they're going to pull this kind of nonsense, I guess I'm helping them fool us more effectively, but why not train those cops to say something that at least makes sense so that if somebody like me starts asking them questions about, what the hell are you doing here and how did this all come together, don't you want to maintain, how many people know? I asked that guy in the event that you missed the broadcast a very simple question. I asked him if this was a permitted protest or if this is something that just sort of organically grew. Because see, if it's a permitted protest, then okay, we're going to know who sought the permit. And by the way, First Amendment, if everything is legit on the up and up, people say they want anonymity. There's certain things that we should be able to do. I'm not anonymous here. If somebody wants to have a public protest, I think, yeah, you have the right to do it. But if you want to get a permit, and then they say there is no need for a permit. Remember earlier in the day, the police said there's no need for a permit unless they're amplifying sound. So, okay, maybe that's not a permit. Then what makes it, at what point is it an unlawful gathering? Because remember when Cuomo threw everybody out of the City Hall Park, he just decided this is an unlawful gathering. How does this work? But anyway, so there was Ezra Frisch. I'm not that disappointed that I didn't see him because, again, I could have hung out there and continued to scope the thing out, but it's a little bit dangerous, particularly when you consider that the cops are there to arrest people like me. The cops, it seems, have invited idiots like Ezra Frisch and crackhead Barney and let them run riot trying to agitate people and then arrest the people they agitate. That seems to be Orrin Levi's job. That's what he's always trying to do to me. So, I mean, isn't that interesting? If you wanted, so if let's say there was a problem person who, oh, this journalist is doing stories about us, let's get him arrested and ruin his life and put him in jail for assault. That's how they got Felix Sater, remember? It was an assault charge. So is this just an entrapment gang at the NYPD? So that's what I mean. Let me rephrase what I started with. I don't regret not going in. I'm sad that I missed it. But it's important that I did what I did yesterday, and I'm glad that I did. This is a years-long journey, research project into understanding exactly what the hell is going on around us in this world. Like people say, oh, maybe we're in a simulation. Yeah, I think so, but not in the way, not like a video game. Like this is all put here to make us think it's one thing, but it's actually something else. That's possible. Anyway, let's talk about Jack and Mike Benz. Not to gossip or, trash talk those guys, but to seriously explore. We're now working on a decade here of understanding social engineering, really since I started Crowdsource the Truth, made my shift from a career as a stereoscopic cinematographer and 3D visual effects expert into being a journalist or an analyst. I like what Charles said the other day. It's the first time he's articulated that. Charles does that sometimes. He's got so much knowledge in reserve that he just says little bits of things. Maybe Trump does this in his own way too. I don't know him, so I can't really make those kind of judgments. Boy, the sun looks better this way. But Charles has so much knowledge in reserve that sometimes he'll be talking about something for years, presuming that you know what he knows, and therefore what he's saying makes sense to you in the way that it does to him. But frequently I have no idea what it is, and then he says something like that, and it's like, ooh, it clarifies it in my mind. But yeah, Charles said, I'm not a journalist, I'm an analyst. That's super interesting. Because also, that's exactly why people want to watch his shows, hear his analysis of this information. So I think I'm there, but I'm also an investigator. I mean, I do enjoy finding evidence and uncovering truths that people are trying to hide from us. So a lot of people saw that interaction with Jack. Maybe you didn't see it. Let's see. This could be a good time to play that for people who didn't get to see it. Here we go. Jack.
Excuse us.
Jack, did you notice how
can you avoid
all this evidence about the second shooter? The book Bulletproof didn't mention anything about the trajectory.
Oh, you didn't read the book yet. Why are you lying?
Did you talk about the second shooter?
Why are you lying? Why are you going to come up to me and lie to me in the street like that? You shouldn't be a liar.
Sorry, I wanted to prime everybody for that a little bit. When I play the video, I'd like people to notice I see Jack. I start with a shot looking up. I guess we're on 8th Avenue over there. And I see Jack, and I say to myself and the audience, Jack. And he appears to see me in that same moment, appears to turn around to his wife, might have said something like, oh, there's that idiot Jason Goodman, or whatever. But he appears displeased to see me, and then he sort of tries to speed past me. I flip the camera around to look at me, thinking I'm going to walk up to Jack and ask him this question. Let me give people a little more background. I've known Jack for like maybe almost 8 years. I think it would depend on when he did that deplorable. I feel like that was like December, late November or December after Trump won. I feel like it was right after the election, like maybe December 18th, something like that. But I feel like I met Jack and Tanya around November 2016, so 8 years ago. And look, it's just a fact that I saw Tanya standing there, started talking to her, we were having a conversation, and then Jack came over. It wasn't like I met him in some circumstance where he was being super friendly to me. He was the host of that party. So he clarified that Tanya was his girlfriend at the time. I don't think they were even engaged, I'm pretty sure. And that's why he came over. He saw me talking to his girlfriend, plain and simple, whether he likes or dislikes me saying that. Anyway, then I saw them again, really probably just a few weeks later, at some kind of Mike Cernovich event at a bar. I mean, again, I was in the act of, trying to start crowdsource the truth. So I was like, how do I do that? I'm going to go to DC and go to these various events. I had seen Jack on, I guess, Periscope or whatever he was doing at the time. He went to the Comet Ping Pong pizza place and went in there with the cell phone live streaming on Periscope at the time when maybe almost nobody was doing that. 2015, 16, I guess. But the reason I'm telling everybody this is that I had a positive impression of Jack. I even liked him. Actually, up until yesterday, Jack is a charismatic figure. He's an undeniably good public speaker. He's done some interesting podcasts, and he's a competent presenter. And look, there's plenty of good things that people can say about Jack Posobiec. I saw him there on Periscope or whatever, and I was interested in what he was talking about. And yeah, I think I heard that he was doing this deplorable event, and I said, well, that's cool. That seems like a good opportunity. Go to DC, meet a bunch of people in this field that I'm trying to get into. I mean, just like with 3D, how do you do that other than go to events where people are likely to be? Now, what is that helicopter doing? It seems to be maybe over Washington Square. Is there a riot going on that I don't know about? Maybe we'll check it out.
People that get unlimited power to do whatever they want.
What would they be rioting about? Don't like Hulk Hogan? But anyway, ran into Jack and Tanya again at this Mike Cernovich, I don't even know what it was. Maybe he had a book coming out or something, but some kind of gateway pundit party at a bar in DC. I was going to DC to try to network and to try to do interviews with people. Because remember, when I started, I didn't say, ooh, I'm a journalist. I just figured I don't really know anything about journalism, and I could ask people questions and just interview people, and when they say things, I'll respond to what they say. And so Jack and Tanya, it was a much smaller event, and Jack wasn't hosting it, so he had more of an opportunity to speak, and he told me that he was doing some kind of a screening party. Whoa, I just almost got stung by a bee. Screening party for for the movie Get Me Roger Stone. Remember that somebody did that movie right around 2016? Anyway, he was having a party at a condo building where they had one of these resident lounges with a big screen TV or whatever. And at this Mike Cernovich bar party, Jack invited me to that screening. And I had said to him, well, hey, because I think he had told me, or maybe I knew that he was in Navy intelligence or whatever. I'm sure I had seen him on InfoWars or whatever. And I said, hey, can I interview you? And he said, yes. And see, he was cagey about that interview. This was a bit weird, but I just figured, whatever. I don't know the guy. He's busy. He's younger than me. It's just a guy I don't know. Who knows how he operates and plans things. What's happening with this helicopter? Is it NYPD? It must be. See, now when you see that, it looks like the rotors are moving super duper slow. That's not it at all. It's that this camera is only taking pictures of them, you know, every 1/30th of a second. And because it's bright out, the shutter speed is very fast, so it's freezing the motion of the rotors, and the timing of the camera shutter and the rotors make it such that we're only getting a few frames. But anyway, they invited me to this screening. Jack invited me to this screening of Get Me Roger Stone and said, yes, we can do an interview. Now this was, oh, we have the date because people can still see the thing on Odyssey. It's actually, it's free. When is the date of this? But if you go onto Odyssey, you don't even have to subscribe, which is free. You don't even have to become a member, which only costs as little as $3 a month. But just go to the content tab. This is one of the great features of Odyssey, and you can search within my library. Just search for Posobiec. That's May 2017. So maybe it was a few months after the party. I guess I was, whatever it was like, you know, first met him at the party. Maybe that party was even in January after the inauguration. I don't exactly remember. But January 2017, end of 2016, something like that. And then by May, there I am, interviewed him. Oops, sorry, I didn't realize we were still on that screen. Interviewed Jack at that party. And Tanya was there. She's very friendly. They were speaking Chinese to each other, and they were speaking Russian to each other. Jack was a little bit over the top, actually, trying to impress me, I felt, with his language skills. It was sort of, yeah, everybody's impressed, dude, you know? But that's fine. Again, like I said, I don't know him. Look at these kind of new lounge area couches or something they're putting in. We got some maybe steel looking stuff. Maybe they're gonna, I don't know, build some new things here, improving the High Line. And that ain't bad. Oh, well, so to give people some idea, you can see, you get the layout of the city from where we were yesterday. There's the Empire State Building right there. And so that's on 35th Street, right? 34th Street. I think it takes up the whole block between 34th and 35th. And we were standing like just west of that, sort of over there-ish, yesterday outside Madison Square Garden. But yeah, so anyway, we had scheduled to do the interview. I remember there were a whole lot of shenanigans with the scheduling of get there early and we'll do it before, and then on the day, changing the scheduling such that much less time was available to do it than had originally been offered or planned for. That was my perception. Perhaps Jack remembers it differently. I think that's the way it was, though. And also, he really steamrolled the conversation, effort to control it, to minimize my ability to ask probing questions. I felt very much like he had been trained in interview tactics and how to, oh, look, they got rid of those fish or those dolphins or sharks or whatever were dancing and singing over here. So yeah, as we go to autumn, I guess, well, we're in autumn, but you know, High Line is, they close it in the winter, right? I don't think you're up here when there's snow. I don't recall ever doing that. Yeah, too many people would slip and hurt themselves, and you'd have all kinds of emergency crap going on. Yeah, they close it, I think, at a certain point. I don't remember when, though. People are super into Hudson Yards. So the other interesting thing about that party with the screening is that this is when I was hanging around with George. And George had this rental car. I didn't have a car at the time. You know, 21st Century 3D was on the ropes. I was losing all my money and everything. And so George had a rental car, and he and I were in DC for this whatever event. Not for the event, concurrent with the event. We were in DC, investigating Imran Awan and all that kind of crap, and Jack's event was happening. So George was driving me to the event, but George wasn't invited, and I had even asked Jack, hey, is there room for George to join? And he said no. So I said, well, all right. I just figured better for one of us to go than neither of us to go. And I had planned to meet Dr. Corsi there for the first time. Like Jack sold it to me, Corsi's gonna be there, come to this thing. Why wouldn't I? They knew that's what I wanted to do. But anyway, so George is driving me to the thing, and the idea is, okay, let's go to this pub and have dinner, and George's dinner consists of no food and just booze. And then I'm gonna go across the street to this condo to the party, and George is gonna continue to hang out in the bar. And while we're driving from DC to, maybe this is like Arlington or some suburb in Virginia, I don't remember exactly where it was. But while we're driving there, George gets a phone call from, unknown person, which he would frequently do at that time, which I can no longer even imagine. What a ridiculous, and also, how could you think of an easier way to just insert random people into your sphere? Highline is very empty today. It's nice. Well, it's Monday. So this guy calls George while we're driving to this Jack screening party of the Roger Stone movie. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm all hooked up with Joe Biden and the Senate and Blackberries and blah, blah, blah. And this guy's gonna come to meet us at the bar. And he sits down, and George says, do you want a drink? And he says, no. Oh, well, okay, I'll have like 8. And I mean, he said no when I was there, but apparently got completely hammered with George and left. By the time I get back from the screening where we did that interview, and then I don't think I really watched the movie. I have seen that Roger Stone movie, but I don't think at that. I think just between, I just don't think I saw it there. But anyway, I go back to the bar at the end of the screening party, and George is hammered. This guy who allegedly worked for Joe Biden in the Senate is gone. And George says, oh yeah, that guy had some kind of crazy, Blackberry that's the key to all mysteries of the universe, and he forgot it here when he left, so I just gave it to the bartender. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Why the hell did you do that? Shouldn't we look at it or give it back to him or do something? And George was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so I convinced the guy behind the bar to give us this dude's phone back. I forget the dude's name or if I ever even knew it. But then for like 7 years, James Bembridge and every idiot associated with George's brother is like, oh, unpixelate the Blackberry. Like it became this whole ridiculous thing. And I'm not saying that Jack had anything to do with that, but this is how it came about. Then the other interesting and odd thing that happened with Mr. Posobiec is that when he went to, I think somebody posted that his wife is Ukrainian, but I don't know if that's true. I do believe Tanya Tay is from Poland, but I could be remembering that incorrectly. I don't know, it doesn't matter much. But I'm pretty sure they were on vacation in Poland, which is sort of like only something that you do if you're from Poland, I think, generally, mostly. But the point is, maybe she's Ukrainian, I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's Polish. But they were in Poland for whatever reason, Ukrainian or not. And they ran into this guy on the live stream, Kevin Marsden, who is another one who tangled with the James Bembridge crew of idiots for years. And that Marsden Remember when Hawkins called him a slab of a man? He hated that. Maybe that means something extremely offensive to the British that I'm not aware of, but it was hilarious. But yeah, that guy was all over Hawkins in a way that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I mean, again, after Hawkins died, realized all kinds of stuff about Hesper and this oil, whatever it is that he invented, his deductive computing machine, and he had some sort of invention for geological stuff in the oil industry. And I mean, again, we don't really know what that does or what the value of that represented to whoever might want to steal it, or I don't know. I remember thinking it would have been good to discuss it more while he was alive. But anyway, yeah, Jack is doing a live stream in some square in the middle of Poland, and this big, like, yeah, hi, I'm a British Special Forces, whatever, like this big, like, slab of a man, Kevin Marsden, I'm pretty sure his name was, and he's like, oh, you have to start listening to Jason Goodman and George Webb, and everyone's like, ooh, Jason, this guy's talking about you. He's talking to you, talking to Jack about you. And so we also now know that this is one of the most obvious social engineering tactics. Holy cow, I think I've just realized that this is a hologram in here. Is it? No. It's just a thing sitting inside glass. But that guy Kevin Marsden was a social engineer who was really quite a problem for a long time. He was interacting with George's brother. I mean, there's just no denying this. There's no denying this. And Jack, maybe that was a coincidence. I mean, you're free to evaluate this on your own. But for people who think that I just walked up to Jack yesterday and was like, ooh, Jack, please give me an interview. No, that's wrong. So, all of this stuff is sort of known, but Jack and I don't know, it's interesting. We had sort of like a friendly adversarial relationship, if that makes any sense. I can tell you that the last time I recall seeing Jack was at the New York Young Republicans Club dinner, which was a fundraising thing for Trump. And that was like an expensive entrance ticket and not something that I felt would be appropriate to live stream or bring a camera to. In fact, that might have even been prohibited. But the point is, almost every single time I ever see Jack, it's at some sort of event or in Congress or somewhere where I don't have a camera out in the middle of a live stream and I'm not confronting him with questions that other people will see the responses to. So the last time I saw him was at that dinner, and I walked in and he was talking to a bunch of people who we mutually know. And I just sort of said, hello, Jack. And he had a unique looking lapel pin. And I said, what is that? And he said, Navy intelligence. And I said, ah, yes, so you're recording the whole event through this. So, I mean, it's snarky barbs at one another. But I thought in fun. And I mean, again, I had never proven in a court that Jack has worked directly with these people who have spent the last 8 years trying to destroy my life. I guess that thought existed in the back of my mind, but I, in a strange way, sort of actually even liked Jack, perhaps prior to yesterday. He's a very charismatic fellow, and as I said, he's a good public speaker. He's got all kinds of, excellent podcasts and different things that he's done over the years that are interesting. Right, but so just let's look at this encounter again for a second, in case anybody might have missed it. Notice when I say Jack, he seems to see me, and he tries to avoid me.
Jack,
How can you avoid all this evidence about the second shooter? The book, Bulletproof, didn't mention anything about the trajectory.
Oh, you
down
didn't read the
back.
book yet. Why are you lying?
Did you talk about the second
Why are you
shooter?
lying? Why are you going to come up to me and lie to me
I
in the
haven't
street like that? You
heard
shouldn't be a liar.
Speaking
You shouldn't be a
about
liar.
the evidence
You
that
shouldn't
they
be a liar. I
altered.
gave an interview just on it. If you're going to come up and make accusations, you should
I
do your
asked you
homework.
why you haven't been talking about the second shooter.
Why do you know that I haven't said that?
Because I
Have you
look at your
watched all my
Twitter
interviews?
all
Have you
the
watched all my
time.
interviews?
I look at your Twitter
So you're
all the
just gonna
time.
come up and lie to
and
me?
I don't see you.
So
I'm
you're just gonna
asking
come-
you
if you're
a
come up-
question.
You didn't ask me a question. You
Maybe
made an
I'm
accusation.
wrong.
You made a very rude accusation. You came up and accused me, and instead of
You seem
asking
angry,
me a question,
Jack.
yeah, because you're a liar.
I'm not a liar.
You're a
I
liar.
might be
You're a
incorrect.
liar.
I'm not a liar,
You're
you
a
fuck.
liar.
I might
Now
be
you're
incorrect.
cursing.
Yeah,
Why
because
are you
you're
so
an
upset?
asshole, Jack.
Now you're cursing again.
Oh, now I'm
Why
cursing.
do you come up to me in the street? You don't say hi. You stick a camera in my face. and
Because
start
you were
lying
running
about it.
away from me. I came to talk
running
to you.
away?
Isn't that amazing how he totally escalates the conversation and gets me triggered so that I curse at him? And then he says, oh, now you're cursing. Also, the other thing is, I didn't accuse him of anything. I asked him a question. How can you ignore all of this evidence of a second shooter? That's a question. And by the way, people were sending me this in DMs and emails and things like that. Oh, why is Jack saying this? Why is Jack not talking about that? I have seen interviews that he's done, and I read his Twitter. And since this discussion, I purchased the book and searched it for shooter, second shooter. He doesn't discuss it. So why is he acting like this? Why didn't he say, look, Jason, at the time I wrote the book, none of that evidence had been proven. I still don't believe it. I don't like you. I don't like Cullen, whatever his reason. Why didn't he say that? Why does he act like this? It's strange to me. When I was trying to be polite, but when I
crossing the street to
could
meet my
see you
brother.
notice me
When you have
and walk
family,
away,
when you have friends,
you
when
know
people
what,
wanna
Jack?
see you.
I think people know
Keep
that
cursing.
you are
Keep cursing.
a liar.
Keep cursing, you liar.
People know
Keep
that
cursing.
you're a liar. How many times did he say keep cursing when I hadn't used a curse word? See, what he's doing is a very well-studied and practiced technique where he's trying to rile me up. And I don't mind that I cursed at him there because it allows him to continue with what he's doing. By the way, I didn't even notice Tanya with him. And when you see them walking up, she's wearing a hat, it's tilted down. I don't think I would particularly recognize her just seeing her on the street. I saw Jack, and I said, Jack, and I saw him see me, look away, and try to abscond. I don't know that he's there to meet his brother. I don't know what he's doing there. It's not like we're in church on Easter Sunday and I'm intruding with something nutty. This guy is a controversial book author who's written a book about the guy whose political event we're at, and I'm asking him a completely appropriate question about the book, and he's acting like a maniac rather than answering it. That's strange to me.
Liar.
You're the
Keep
liar.
cursing. Keep cursing me out. Keep lying at me.
I said
I'm here with my family. I'm here with my friends.
Have a great day,
And
Jack.
you're
Have a
being
great day,
disrespectful.
Jack.
You're
I'm being
disrespectful.
disrespectful.
You're being
You're
lying.
the one who
You're
is
coming up to me in the
ignoring the
street.
evidence. By the way, me saying, have a great day, that's my cue that I'm walking away. If he wasn't such an idiot, he would have let that happen.
Screaming
Max
lies.
Urich on the
Screaming
roof.
lies.
You keep saying crooks.
You have no idea.
I have heard you
what's
say
even
nothing
in my
but
book.
crooks.
You even know what's in my book.
I've heard you say nothing
Have
but
you read the
crooks.
book?
And now I have searched his book for Urich, not mentioned once, and I have heard him all over the place talking about crooks. I'm not going to read your book because I see what you're saying on Twitter.
Of not putting
I
something
see
in the
what
book,
you're saying
and then
on
he says he won't
Twitter
read the book.
is bullshit.
And now he's cursing again.
What you're saying on Twitter is false. Oh, Jack
Can you stop cursing in
never
front of my
curses.
wife?
Oh, so your wife's never heard
in front of my
it.
wife?
Your wife's never heard these words before, Jack.
You please stop cursing in front. You gonna talk about my wife like that?
Why are you? So he's riling me up. He's, even when I said, Jack, have a nice day, which is my cue that I'm going to walk away, he continues to agitate the conversation. And he's in the middle of a New York City street, and somebody uses the word bullshit, and he acts like his wife is some 2-year-old child that her ears cannot be tainted by such language. I mean, what a ridiculous performance this is. If you are actually somebody who sees Jack behaving in this way and defends him, I urge you to reconsider that. You're advancing on me, Jack. You've just committed assault in New York. You're making me feel like you're going to attack me.
This guy's harassing my wife here with the camera.
I'm not harassing his... Now he just lied. I haven't said a word to his wife. I didn't even know that she was there until he brought her up. Wife, I'm talking to him. I haven't said a word to his wife.
Camera in her face.
He's lying.
I appreciate that.
He's creating a problem. Don't put your hand on me based on some lie this guy just said. So everybody now sees that Jack Posobiec is a bitch who has to go to the cops and make up stories because he doesn't want to talk about why. He just said, I don't even know who this guy is. So he lied to the cops twice. I really want people to think about this for a second. Jack Posobiec is lying to the police. What's the intended outcome there? For me to get arrested? He's going to go to the police and lie, and he's going to tell them that I'm harassing his wife and that he doesn't even know who I am. That's not true. The truth is, he's a public figure. I'm a journalist asking him questions about his newly released book, and he's acting like a maniac. That's the truth. He's trying to mislead everyone into thinking that it's crooks on the roof, and that he's ignoring the evidence that the Beaver County ESU has altered photographic evidence.
This guy's not stopping.
I'm a journalist. He's in public.
I'm trying to go in.
Let him in. Let him in. He's afraid of facing the facts that he won't discuss the Beaver County ESU altering the photos, refusing to provide the evidence.
I don't even know it's in the book because you're stupid.
I listen to what you say on Twitter and I see that you're lying. So you see, if you tell me I'm stupid and I tell you you're full of shit, it's a very small... I'm illiterate. I can't read, Jack.
That's why you don't have any friends.
I don't have any friends.
Your family hates you.
Oh, my family hates me.
That's...
Could anything be more immature than what he's doing right here? I mean, it's hard to believe that this person is a father. Is that what's happening, Jack?
Camera in people's faces, screaming, cursing.
Am I screaming?
You literally just were
You just acted like we're in fifth grade. You're telling me I don't have any friends. Do you know the first time that I spoke to Jack? You know, I did not scream at him at all, and people who have been watching this show for a little while are well aware that Jack would know if I was screaming at him. Anyway, it was when I was speaking to his wife.
Very nice to you. I was very nice to you.
No, you were concerned that before you were married to her, I might have taken her from you. That's why you came over. You're a loser, Jack. Keep on lying, Navy intelligence. Why don't you go to the cops and make up a story? Oh, yes, so that you can go to them and talk to them. Yeah. Go do something. Make a move. Hit me. Punch me right in the face.
You're lucky.
Do it. Do it, Jack.
Dude, I said hello to you before. You can stop. You're not making any money with this.
I'm not trying to make money, and don't tell me what to do. Jack Posobiec is a liar. Okay? Unbelievable, right? Who is that guy like, I said hello to you before? You're not making money with this? Who the hell is that guy? As I watch the video, that guy is kind of like following Jack around and looking at those guys. They also seem to be speaking to a guy from X, so maybe they're working on getting in there to talk to Elon Musk or something. That's what these guys are all trying to do, right? They want to prevent me. This is the same way that people who work for James Cameron used to act when I came around. People who work for J.J. Abrams used to act when I came around. This is the way that people who want to block you from doing something without you knowing, without it seeming obvious, this is the way they act. Because you see, the guys at James Cameron's place, I think, realized that if he saw the 3D camera equipment that I was developing, or if he spoke to me or met me, he would realize that the guys working for him didn't know what they were doing. And likewise with J.J. Abrams, when I met him at an event, I think I've told this story before, showed him a virtual reality thing. He told me to call his office that Monday. 2-3 calls. I could never get past the 20-year-olds answering the phone. Weird. But this is the way people act, you know? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's people out there who are going to say, oh, everything is fake, Trump is fake, Elon Musk is fake. Maybe that's correct, I don't know. I still hold out hope that there are people in the world who have children and want the future to be good. Not that you have to have children to want the future to be good, but Elon Musk seems sincere in what he's doing. Maybe I'm being fooled, but whatever. It seems like there's a lot of people who don't want me to share information with him about Valerie Caproni and Adam Sharp and Barack Obama. So that brings me now around to Mike Benz. Now, Mike Benz is a guy who's gaining a lot of traction on X and elsewhere. He's another one, does the major podcast circuit. This was super wacky because Mike Benz, let's see, do we have the Mike Benz tweet here? Let's see. Yeah, so I had an interview with Mike Benz, and then he's like, aha, so you acted nice to me, to my face, so I'd give you 5 minutes of my time, then you turned into a little snake on Twitter. Great way to make friends, man. But the thing that Mike doesn't realize is he didn't give me any of his time, I took it. And I'm not trying to make friends with him. I think he's a dick. I don't care about being friends with him. I'm trying to get this information to somebody who can do something with it so that we can resolve a problem. And I'm trying to communicate with him about it because the things that he does publicly make it seem like we're aligned in that purpose. And that causes me to think that whatever he thinks of me, not that I want him to dislike me, but whatever he thinks about me, he should be interested in the information. So when I walked up to him in the street yesterday, and said all this stuff to him, after 2 years of sharing the information with him many, many times on Twitter, and we see he can react within minutes when something goes on Twitter. It's an odd coincidence that he missed all those times that I posted the Twitter coup and evidence about Valerie Caproni and Adam Sharp and how they put the FBI into Twitter and how it still seems to be there. He missed all that, but he saw this within 30 minutes and it's like, oh, you're a little snake. Then people should go to that. If you're not, I'm telling you, if you're not following on X, you're missing a lot of the fun. I mean, whatever we want to say about Elon Musk, he's definitely made Twitter better. Speaking of Elon Musk, we're here at the Tesla place and somebody's got a Maybach. Now they still have the old robot. It's Sydney. So good news. That was my grandfather's name. Yeah, this is the old robot here. We have to, when can you buy a robot? That's 2023 robot. Get that out of here. Old garbage. And then we've got the Cyber truck. But anyway, I don't know. It feels very much like a lot of people for a long time have done a lot of things to prevent me from getting this information to Elon Musk. Definitely George's brother. Definitely the people who choked me outside of Twitter. It seems like Mike Benz and Jack also don't want to, because he's like, oh, I'm giving you my time. Who the hell does this asshole think he is? First of all, his time is worthless. He sat there, nodded his head a few times, then got distracted and walked away. Didn't say, this is interesting, how do I find you on Twitter? Didn't say, yeah, I've seen you before. Didn't seem to care at all, which he's free to do. But then it causes me and perhaps other people to think, why would someone behave in this contradictory fashion? The part of not mattering what he thinks about me is he can just read the Twitter coup, steal it all. He could just start talking about it, not mention me at all. It's weird that he doesn't even do that. Like I said, this is all There's an appeal in the Second Circuit right now where all of this evidence and information, accusations against the judge, are in there. She could have stricken it from the record, and she didn't. There's a reason for that. So I don't know. And then, by the way, Mike went in there with Jack. They're doing all these bro tweets. It seems like these guys are part of a crew, and I think a lot of people share that opinion. And they behave in ways that don't make sense. Why wouldn't Jack just say something like, hey, good to see you, Jason. Have you read the book? Why he starts with a trick. He says, why are you lying? But I'm not lying, because what I said is correct. His book doesn't mention those things at all. So he's the one who's lying. That's the thing. He just immediately launched an instant social engineering campaign. So how is that done? He's got a few million followers. Are there tens of thousands or even 1,000 or 500 of them that are fake accounts controlled by some artificial intelligence tool that can come up with stupid insult comments? I mean, we've seen ChatGPT now and how that works. If I said to it, here's a video transcript of my 5 interviews and interactions with Jack Posobiec, and suddenly it knows everything about what I think about Jack Posobiec, and I said, go write 10 asshole tweets about Jack Posobiec, I don't know that you'd be able to tell that those weren't written by a human. So I'm saying, Mike Benz, when he responded this morning, let's watch the Mike Benz video, because when he responded this morning, there was a flurry of kind of negative tweets about me and the stuff I was saying about Mike. And then I blocked a limited number of accounts, and that stopped. And that was really reminiscent of Chris Boozy. I first discovered that when I was getting attacked on my @CSTheTruth account with Chris Boozy. And at that time, he was able to, maybe this is what Bot Sentinel does, or somebody else has a tool that does this. But if you were able to get, let's say, 500 Twitter accounts, if 500 accounts started commenting, 20 accounts started commenting on a tweet, even from a large account, 100,000 followers or more, that would feel like a large response. And so if they were all driven by an artificial intelligence tool that was the hate Jason, here's this tweet, read these tweets and respond with something snarky and mean, you could be queuing up the account. What Boozy was doing is that he got me to respond with things, and then he would go through there and cherry pick what insults here could trigger a hate speech complaint or something like that. And so they were sort of baiting you into these destroy your account scenarios. And I'm not suggesting that that's what Mike or Jack are trying to do, but I'm just going back in my mind over things that have happened with these, social engineering professionals, and, just kind of extrapolating what sort of tools. Remember, I have been involved in creating various software applications and designing software tools to do things, and that process is basically hey, here's something that we do, and we could automate it or improve it or systematize it if we created a tool that did X, Y, and Z. Somebody could do that. And you know what? If we've known about ChatGPT for 2 years, how long have they known about it that we haven't? So, did they have this capability 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago? Do they have it now? I don't know, but it seems like they could. None of that seems too far-fetched. And again, it's also like Palmer Luckey. I've made this analogy before to the Borg. The Borg, for people who don't watch Star Trek, are a race of cybernetic beings that go around the universe just, capturing other species, whether they're humans or computers or technology or whatever, and they assimilate them and take them, either genetic and biological and technological, whatever, and make themselves better. And when Star Trek tries to defend themselves against these guys, they go onto their spaceship to try to destroy it. The humans are walking around and the Borg robots don't care at all. And they're like, oh, that's weird. Why don't they care about us? And then when they start to attack the thing and they become a threat to it, then all the Borg robots focus on them and try to kill them. So until you become a threat, these guys ignore. And it's interesting to see when they start paying attention and what happens. So for Mike Benz, I mean, again, it's easy for him to avoid these questions if he just never responds to a tweet, never looks at the Twitter coup documents. Isn't that nice fall colors behind me there? See, New York in the autumn, it's beautiful. It's easy for him to ignore that, but I do think my Twitter account maybe is getting to a large enough size where it starts to reach enough people that it might be getting their attention. You know, when I had 900 people following, I don't think they cared about what I was tweeting. But I think they know that there's a danger that things that I tweet could go viral, could be seen by people who they don't want seeing it. And so Mike Benz, here, let's look at what the encounter with him went like. Mike Benz, Mike Cyber Benz,
Yo, hey.
Jason Goodman.
How you doing?
Dude, I gotta get you to look at the Twitter coup. Adam Sharp, Valerie Caproni, the FBI General Counsel, under Barack Obama's guidance, they put the FBI into Twitter. I've been trying to send you this for like 2 years. James Baker had me strangled outside of Twitter on November 1st when I went there to tell, yes. I have an email that was sent to James Baker that said, hey, Jason Goodman's trying to communicate with Elon Musk. Then I'm standing outside there November 1st with my Twitter coup report, and I get choked. James Baker wasn't fired until 5 weeks later.
Have you made like a short video overview presentation? I absorbed that stuff.
1 hour long at 2x, you get it in an hour. I'll DM you.
Video?
It's a video of me reading it.
Hours long. Is there a way to
30 minutes.
simplify the...
Valerie Caproni was the FBI General Counsel. Today, she's a U.S. District Court judge. When I started exposing this, Adam Sharp, who was Twitter's first ever U.S. government liaison and is the guy who created Barack Obama's @BarackObama Twitter account and helped him win the election using Twitter. When I started, the Emmys sued me. Adam Sharp is now the president of the Emmys, and he sued me because this guy who emailed James Baker told him, you need to sue this fake company. Goodman's going to think it's his company. We get him into the lawsuit and we're going to sink him. And that's exactly what they did. I've become one of the nation's biggest counter lawfare experts. I now have a Second Circuit case against Judge Caproni. All this stuff is entered. She didn't say it's false. She could have held me in contempt. She could have stricken it from the record. It's sitting there on the Second Circuit. What's the best way? Don't tell me here, but how can I get this to you so that you can absorb it fully?
Like just the way that I absorb things, like I need, it sort of depends. I mean, I like to get kind of like a short, compressed version and then decide if I want to plunge into something. So I like things to be sort of like, you know, a 5-minute explainer, and then I make the decision at that point about whether I want to invest more time and stuff. That's just generally the best way I receive information.
Do you know Adam Sharp?
I'm not familiar. You're saying he was the Twitter government relations guy?
He was the key to all of this. He was the first U.S. government liaison. He's the guy who created the Twitter town hall with Barack Obama, introduced Jack Dorsey to Barack Obama. That was 2010. The FBI was up in arms about going dark. Valerie Caproni was the FBI General Counsel. I start talking about it. The guy sues me. Caproni is the judge. He's the plaintiff. This is lawfare. This is the FBI.
The judge is the plaintiff. Oh, because he's now...
The judge is friends with the plaintiff. The judge is Valerie Caproni. She was the FBI General Counsel. This goes to Felix Sater, the guy who was the developer of Trump Tower Moscow.
I'm getting with this close, but yeah.
Take it easy. There's another guy who's ignoring the facts. What's with that? So, I mean, you know, he thinks he's giving me his time. He's standing there looking into space. Granted, it's a lot of information I was dropping on him, but he's supposed to be some kind of genius. And I mean, you know, he's acting the same way Matt Taibbi acted. And by the way, this is exactly where this incident occurred. The choking. Almost 2 years ago to the day. So it's appropriate there, 249. Not Twitter or X anymore, as far as I know. But I mean, you see, he's like, oh, well, I like a 5-minute explainer. You know, if somebody came up to him and said, hey, I saw you do all this great stuff on deep state, blah, blah, blah. I have a story about the GameStop, you know, abuse of that stock and how it was pumped up and blah, blah, blah. And it's so similar to what you're covering because it's funding the deep state, blah, blah, blah. And if he said, well, you know what, this is a whole array of different information and different people than what I'm really reporting on. And it's interesting, but I don't really have a lot of bandwidth. And maybe if there's something that could like just lay it out quickly. I'm not pitching him on something like that. I'm telling him, hey man, I've been looking at what you've been talking about for 2 years, and here's all these big gigantic puzzle pieces that fit into the puzzle you're trying to solve that you're telling me you don't know anything about. And I'm explaining it to you that this judge was in the FBI. She was the general counsel. He's obviously aware that James Baker was also the general counsel. And I'm telling him, this guy, see, this to me is the ultimate stonewall, because they're never going to investigate what I'm talking about. And people like Mike Benz are there to be the limited hangout to make sure that that is the way that goes. Just think about it for yourself. Why wouldn't he be interested in this? Wait a minute. You're telling me someone emailed James Baker? I have an email from George's brother to legal@twitter.com while James Baker was the deputy general counsel. I think he got it. I'm over there trying to give this report to Elon Musk, and I get choked by people who had to be private security hired by Twitter. And we now know that Eric Adams, at that time, was engaged in numerous schemes around the city with the chief of police and other people, the police commissioner and other people, to compel private businesses to hire private security companies, crooked private security companies. So we don't know the full extent of that yet, but it sounds a lot like what was going on over here. And why does Mike Benz not want to talk about any of this? Why does Jack Posobiec act so weird? Now wait, did I forget to show people this? Because this was important. Yeah, see, this is the kind of evidence that I'm talking about that Jack is ignoring. This just came to me minutes before I started this broadcast, and I put it on X. But my right to know appeal, the final determination was issued, and it was granted in my favor. Meaning, the Beaver County ESU, remember those detectives that I spoke to, they have 30 days to give me the .heic photo from Detective Gian Vito's phone, or else an affidavit saying that it doesn't exist. So if it doesn't exist, what the hell happened to it? See, what Jack is trying to do is he's trying to plant a flag in the ground where he is the guy who's going to go around for the next 10, 20 years, and he's going to give speeches about his books, about the Trump assassination attempts, and the this about the deep state, and the that about the deep state, and he's going to lay down And everybody who is like, oh, Jack is on our side, don't say anything against Jack. What are you talking about? First of all, you don't know me. Second of all, you don't know Jack. Third of all, there's not two sides. And you say truth and falsehood. Okay, it's true. But there's also people who try to infiltrate a side. So you can't just say, oh, well, this guy, he's on our side, so he's above criticism. And you continue to ask, why the hell are these guys not looking at evidence that should be the most important evidence? I mean, if they're legitimately investigating what they claim to be investigating, this is the most important evidence. Why? You're telling me you don't know who Adam Sharp is? You don't care that I just told you that this guy created the Twitter town hall, created Barack Obama's Twitter account, helped Barack Obama win the election using Twitter. And as I started to expose this, they're suing me and trying to destroy me. You're like, hey man, sorry, I gotta go inside. Not even, care to. So he obviously is aware of who I am, responding that quickly on Twitter. I mean, these guys are not very good actors, not very good liars. And he's like, oh, this is a great way to become friends. What the hell is wrong with this guy that he thinks I'm trying to be his friend? And that other guy who's like, oh, you're not making any money with this. They all think everything is motivated by wanting clicks and money and friends. Sometimes doing the right thing gets you the opposite of all of that. Frankly, usually that's the way it goes. So it's interesting though. It's just interesting. It's just interesting to see. This is this new fat bird place that I haven't gone to. It seems pretty fried. Not really, I don't think I'm going there. Anyway, that's basically all I had to say about that, but it was a pretty big deal that the right to know lawsuit was completed. I mean, that's the final determination. So that just came in. We'll see what Bonnie Sedlicek has to say about that. I don't think they're going to like it. I don't think they're going to give the photo. I'm not sure what we'll do after that, but there's no way they're going to give it, because this will prove that they doctored the thing. So that's the other thing that Jack is trying to do, is to get in between any potential relationship that might exist between, me and Corey Mills or Eli Crane. Same with Cullen. He doesn't want Cullen talking to either of those guys. They want to control the information that flows to Congress. And just like George's brother, trying to disrupt those relationships. Whoa. Yeah, see, that guy's turned the homeless Wi-Fi station into his little house or something over there. Yeah, but anyway, historic event yesterday. Sorry I didn't get to experience it from inside the arena, but I played the role I needed to play, and we learned some important things about social engineering and who's involved with it. By the way, if the cops, people need to sort of, either you think I'm an idiot and everything I'm saying is stupid and wrong, or, some of these things fit together kind of like blocks, right? If the cops are orchestrating these protests and, using Venezuelan gang members dressed up as Hamas members, that can't just be limited to the cops. I would think that goes up the chain. Other people are going to know about that. And so what are the implications of that? Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Please become a sponsor. I'm not trying to sell pillows or gold or VPNs. This show is the product. So if you like it, please become a sponsor for as little as $3 a month on Odyssey, plus a 58-cent Odyssey fee. I don't know what's going on with Crumble the Cookie Restaurant, but there's just such an insane line in front of this place all the time. It's almost like they must have crack in these cookies. Ming the Merciless is waiting in line to buy cookies. But yeah, become a sponsor, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks to everybody who is sponsoring the show. I wouldn't have been able to do that right to know lawsuit without all the sponsors, so we're moving the ball forward. Thanks for watching, everybody.